walked to the center of the great hall. Everyone watched her with new eyes. She was not the sad, silent princess anymore. She was something new, something special. She placed both hands over her heart and closed her eyes. Then she shared her deepest wish with everyone in the room. Every person there, alien and human alike, suddenly felt the same beautiful emotion. They felt Lyra's dream of a galaxy where all species lived in peace, where differences were celebrated, not feared, where understanding mattered more than words. Ambassador Chen wiped tears from her eyes. "I have traveled to 100 worlds," she said, "but I have never felt anything so beautiful." Emperor Zorth put his arm around his daughter. "What happens now, little star? What do you want to do with this gift?" Lyra looked up at her father and smiled. Then she turned toward the great windows that showed the star-filled sky. Her meaning was clear to everyone who felt her emotions. She wanted to share this gift with the whole galaxy. But could one silent princess really bring peace to 1,000 warring worlds? The answer to that question would change everything. 3 days had passed since the night that changed everything. News of Princess Lyra's gift had spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Ships from 100 different worlds were flying toward planet Zerion. Some came with hope, others came with fear, many came with weapons. Emperor Zorth stood with his daughter on the palace balcony, watching the sky fill with alien ships. His heart was heavy with worry. "They do not all come in peace," he said softly. "Some species think your gift is dangerous. They fear what you might make them feel." Lyra placed her hand on her father's arm. Through her touch, she shared her calm strength with him. She was not afraid. She knew what she had to do. Below them, the great courtyard was filled with delegates from across the galaxy. Tall, thin beings from the ice worlds stood next to short, round creatures from the desert planets. Some had scales, some had fur, some had skin that glowed with inner light. Many had never seen each other before. Most had been enemies for centuries. Ambassador Chen approached them. "Princess, the Galactic Council is ready. They want to hear what you have to say about your abilities." Emperor Zorth looked worried. "The council chamber will be full of anger and fear. Some delegates have already called for Lyra to be imprisoned. They think she is too dangerous to be free." "What do they fear most?" Ambassador Chen asked. "They fear she will control their minds," the Emperor replied. "They think she will force them to feel things they do not want to feel." Lyra shook her head gently. She touched both her father and Ambassador Chen, sharing her true intentions. They felt her pure desire to help, not control, to heal, not harm, to bring understanding, not force agreement. "She wants to show them something," Ambassador Chen said with wonder. "Something about choice and free will." An hour later, the great council chamber was packed. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds filled the floating seats that rose up like a mountain around the speaking platform. The air buzzed with translated voices in 1,000 different languages. Emperor Zorth walked to the center platform. His voice boomed through the chamber. "Honored delegates, I present my daughter, Princess Lyra of Zerion." Lyra walked slowly to the platform. She looked so small in the huge chamber. Many delegates made angry sounds. Some shouted in languages she could not understand. But through her gift, she could feel their emotions clearly. Fear, anger, hatred, suspicion, but also hope, wonder, curiosity, love. The chamber grew quiet as she reached the center. Everyone waited to see what the silent princess would do. Lyra stood very still for a long moment. Then she placed both hands over her heart and closed her eyes. What happened next had never occurred before in galactic history. Every being in the chamber suddenly felt the same emotion, not forced on them, not pushed into their minds, but offered to them like a gift they could choose to accept or reject. They felt pure, unconditional love. Love for every different shape and size and color of life. Love that saw beauty in scaled skin and furry faces and glowing eyes. Love that celebrated every unique way of thinking and feeling and being alive. Some delegates tried to reject the feeling. They built walls in their minds and hearts. But the love was still there, waiting patiently for them to accept it when they were ready. Others opened their hearts completely. Tears ran down faces that had never cried before. Ancient enemies looked at each other and saw not monsters, but fellow travelers in the great adventure of existence. General Krax of the warrior planet Mortia stood up. He was known across the galaxy for his cruelty and violence, but now tears fell from his 6 eyes. "I have spent my life hating," he said in a voice that shook. "But this feeling, this love, it does not make me weak. It makes me strong enough to choose peace." Queen Zelda of the Crystal Beings raised her hand. Her voice rang like music. "For 1,000 years, my people have hidden from the galaxy because we feared others would not understand us. But now I feel that understanding is possible." One by one, delegates from across the galaxy stood up. They spoke of old wounds that could heal, of wars that could end, of friendships that could begin. But not everyone was convinced. War Chief Brutus of the savage planet shouted, "This is mind control. She forces us to feel what she wants us to feel." Lyra looked directly at him. Then she did something that surprised everyone. She stopped sharing the love emotion and instead shared something else. She shared her own sadness, her own fear, her own doubts. The chamber felt her worry that maybe she was wrong. Maybe peace was impossible. Maybe some beings were too full of hate to ever change. Maybe she was just a foolish girl with impossible dreams. War Chief Brutus felt her honest uncertainty. He realized that if she could control minds, she would never share such vulnerable, imperfect emotions. She would only share confidence and strength. She is not controlling us, he said slowly. She is sharing her true feelings. The choice to accept them or reject them is still ours. Lyra nodded and smiled. Then she shared one final emotion with everyone in the chamber. Hope, not blind hope that ignored problems, but careful, wise hope that believed change was possible if everyone worked together. Hope that saw the best in every being while still acknowledging their flaws. Ambassador Chen stood up. "I propose that Princess Lyra become the galaxy's first emotional ambassador. Not to rule us or control us, but to help us understand each other when words are not enough." The vote was not unanimous. Some worlds still said no. Some beings still feared her gift. But for the first time in galactic history, more voices said yes to peace than said no to war. As delegates began to leave, making plans for trade instead of battle, for cooperation instead of conquest, Emperor Zorth put his arm around his daughter. "You did it, little star," he whispered. "You gave the galaxy something it never had before. You gave it hope." Lyra looked up at him and shared one more emotion. Gratitude. Deep, perfect gratitude for a father who had never stopped loving her, even when he did not understand her. Then she looked out at the stars through the great windows. There were still worlds in conflict out there. Still beings who suffered from loneliness and fear and hatred. Her work was just beginning. But for the first time in her life, Princess Lyra knew exactly who she was meant to be. Not someone who spoke with words, but someone who spoke with something far more powerful. She spoke with the language of the heart, and in a galaxy full of different voices, that was the one language everyone could understand. 8 minutes left. Princess Lyra ran across the Great Hall as fast as she could, without drawing attention. Her heart pounded like thunder in her chest. She had to warn someone. She had to save the humans before Uncle Vex's evil plan worked. But how? She reached her father first. Emperor Zorth was still talking with Ambassador Chen about mining rights on the outer moons. Lyra grabbed his arm and pulled hard. "Lyra?" Her father looked surprised. "What is wrong, my daughter?" Lyra pointed frantically at Prince Vex, then at the humans, then made a cutting motion across her throat. She tried to show poison by pretending to drink and then falling down. She pointed at the clock on the wall. Emperor Zorth looked confused. "I do not understand, little star. Are you feeling sick? Do you need to rest?" Lyra shook her head hard. She grabbed a piece of paper from a servant's tray and a writing stick. Her hands shook as she wrote quickly, "Uncle Vex poison humans, dessert wine danger now." She showed the paper to her father, but Emperor Zorth just looked more confused. "Lyra, this makes no sense. Your uncle loves our guests. Why would you write such strange things? Are you having bad dreams again?" 7 minutes left. Lyra wanted to scream. Her father thought she was just having one of her nightmares. He patted her head gently and turned back to his conversation with the humans. She ran to Captain Zorb, head of the palace guards. He was a good man. Surely he would listen. She showed him the same paper. Captain Zorb read it and frowned. Princess, your uncle is a prince of the realm. I cannot arrest him based on a piece of paper with no proof. Besides, you have always had a wild imagination. 6 minutes left. Lyra felt panic rising in her chest like cold water. She ran to the human guards, but they could not read the alien writing. She tried hand signals, but they just smiled and nodded, thinking she was being friendly. She even tried to grab the poisoned wine bottles, but servants pushed her away gently. Princess, please do not touch the special wine for our guests, they said. Your father wants everything to be perfect tonight. 5 minutes left. Uncle Vex watched her from across the room. Through her new gift, Lyra could feel his amusement. He knew she had discovered his plan, but he also knew no one would believe a mute princess who had never shown any special wisdom before. His thoughts reached her like dark laughter. Run around, little mouse. Squeak all you want. No one will ever understand you in time. 4 minutes left. Lyra felt tears on her face. She was going to fail. 3 innocent people were going to die, and she could not save them. Her wonderful new gift was useless. She could feel everyone's emotions, but she still could not make anyone understand her own. 3 minutes left. The servants began bringing out the dessert course. Beautiful cakes that sparkled like jewels, sweet fruits from distant worlds that glowed with their own light, and the special wine, dark red like liquid rubies, already poured into 3 crystal glasses. Uncle Vex moved closer to the human table. His face showed fake concern as he spoke. Honored guests, please try our finest dessert wine. It is made from grapes that grow only once every 100 years. Ambassador Chen smiled. How generous. We are honored to taste something so rare. 2 minutes left. Lyra made her choice. If no one would listen to her words, if no one would believe her warnings, then she would have to show them the truth, even if it meant putting herself in terrible danger. She pushed through the crowd of nobles and servants. She ignored their surprised gasps as she ran toward the human table. Lyra, her father called. What are you doing? Ambassador Chen picked up her wine glass. The other 2 humans reached for theirs. 1 minute left. To friendship between our worlds, Ambassador Chen said, lifting the poisoned glass toward her lips. Lyra threw herself forward with all her strength. She knocked the wine glass from Ambassador Chen's hand and grabbed the other 2 glasses before the humans could drink. The glasses crashed to the floor. Dark red wine spread across the white stone like blood. The great hall went completely silent. Everyone stared at the silent princess who had just attacked their honored guests. Lyra, Emperor Zorth's voice was full of shock and anger. What have you done? Before anyone could stop her, Lyra picked up some of the spilled wine from the floor. She looked straight at Uncle Vex, then drank it herself. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the poison hit her. Lyra felt fire burning through her body. Pain like lightning shot through her chest. Her legs gave out and she fell to the cold floor. She could not breathe. Dark spots danced in front of her eyes. As she lay dying, she heard Uncle Vex's panicked thoughts. No! She was not supposed to drink it. Now everyone will know it was poison. My plan is ruined. Ambassador Chen knelt beside Lyra. The human woman's face was full of understanding and horror. The wine was poisoned, Ambassador Chen said in a voice that carried across the silent hall. This brave girl just saved our lives. Emperor Zorth's face went white with shock. Poisoned? But how did she know? Ambassador Chen looked down at the dying princess with sad, wise eyes. I think, she said softly, your daughter is much more special than any of us realized. Princess Lyra lay on the cold floor, her body shaking from the poison. Her breath came in short gasps. Dark veins appeared under her silver skin like black lightning. Everyone in the great hall stood frozen in shock and fear. Emperor Zorth dropped to his knees beside his daughter. His 6 hands touched her face gently. My little star, he whispered. What have you done? Why did you drink the poison? Through her pain, Lyra could still feel her father's emotions. His heart was breaking into 1,000,000 pieces. He thought he was losing the most precious thing in his life. Ambassador Chen knelt on Lyra's other side. The human woman's face was calm but serious. She looked at the empty bottle of healing water on the nearby table, then back at the dying princess. Your Majesty, Ambassador Chen said quietly, I need to tell you something important about the healing water we brought. Water? Emperor Zorth looked confused. What does water matter now? My daughter is dying. The water matters very much, the ambassador said, because I think your daughter drank some of it tonight. Around the room, aliens whispered in shock. Prince Vex tried to slip away toward the door, but Captain Zorb blocked his path. The captain had finally understood what was happening. Ambassador Chen continued, "The healing water we brought is not what most people think it is. We did not lie, but we did not tell the whole truth either." "What do you mean?" the Emperor demanded. "The water does not heal the body," Ambassador Chen explained. "It heals something much more important. It heals the heart. It gives the drinker the power to feel what others feel, to understand emotions as clearly as words." Emperor Zorth's eyes grew wide. "You mean your daughter knew about the poison because she could feel your brother's evil thoughts?" Ambassador Chen said. "The water gave her a gift we humans call empathy. She could sense Prince Vex's plan to kill us." All eyes turned to Prince Vex. His face was red with anger and fear. "This is nonsense," he shouted. "You have no proof." But Lyra was getting stronger, not weaker. The poison was leaving her body. Slowly she sat up. Her silver skin was clear again. The dark veins were gone. "The healing water protects those who drink it," Ambassador Chen said with a smile. "It makes the body reject all poison, both physical and spiritual." Lyra stood on shaking legs. Her father helped her stay up. For the first time in her life, she looked directly at Prince Vex with no fear in her eyes. Then something amazing happened. Lyra placed her hand over her heart and looked at her father. Without words, without sounds, she made him feel her love. Pure, perfect love flowed from her to him like warm sunlight. Emperor Zorth gasped. He could feel his daughter's emotions as clearly as if she had spoken them aloud. 20 years of love that she had never been able to share suddenly filled his heart. "I can feel her," he whispered in wonder. "I can feel what she feels." Lyra turned to Ambassador Chen and made her feel gratitude so deep it brought tears to the human woman's eyes. She turned to Captain Zorb and shared her respect for his loyalty. She even turned to the servants and let them feel her thanks for their kindness over the years. But when she faced Prince Vex, she shared something different. She let him feel her sadness for him, not anger, not hatred, just deep sadness that someone in her family had so much darkness in their heart. Prince Vex stepped backward, his face twisted with guilt and fear. "Stop it!" he screamed. "Stop making me feel these things." "She is showing you the truth," Ambassador Chen said. "The truth about yourself. The healing water does not just let her feel others' emotions. It lets her share her own emotions too." Captain Zorb moved forward to arrest Prince Vex. "You tried to murder our guests and blame it on accident. You plan to start a war for your own power. Guards, take him away." As Prince Vex was led away in chains, he shouted, "She is still broken. She still cannot speak. What good is feeling without words?" Emperor Zorth stood up tall and proud. His voice rang through the great hall. "My daughter is not broken. She never was broken. She is exactly what our galaxy needs." He turned to face all the aliens and humans in the room. "For too long we have cared only about words and thoughts. We have forgotten about feelings and hearts. My daughter can do something none of us can do. She can make others feel true love, true peace, true understanding. Lyra." The golden towers of Emperor Zorth's palace reached high into the purple sky of planet Zerion. Today was different. Today was special. The great hall buzzed with excitement as alien servants rushed around, preparing for the most important feast in 1,000 years. Princess Lyra stood alone on her balcony, watching the busy scene below. Her long silver hair moved gently in the alien wind. Her deep blue eyes looked sad as they always did. At 20 years old, she was beautiful like her mother had been. But unlike every other being on Zerion, Lyra had never spoken a single word. Not one word, not ever. On Zerion, everyone could talk with their minds. Thoughts flew between people like invisible birds. Children learned to speak with their thoughts before they could even walk. But Lyra's mind was silent. Empty. Broken, some whispered when they thought she could not hear. "Princess," called Nyx, her old servant. He was the only one who still tried to talk to her. "Your father wants you to come to the Great Hall. The humans will arrive soon." Lyra nodded and followed him down the crystal stairs. Her soft boots made no sound on the smooth floor. She moved like a ghost through her own home. The Great Hall was amazing today. Floating lights danced in the air like tiny stars. The long table was covered with foods from across the galaxy. Golden plates sparkled under the magical lights. Everything looked perfect. Emperor Zorth stood at the head of the table. He was tall and strong, with skin that glowed soft blue like moonlight. His 6 arms moved as he talked to his advisors. But when he saw Lyra enter, his glow became dimmer, sadder. "Ah, my daughter," he said, his voice kind but tired. "Come, stand beside me. Today we make history." Lyra took her place next to her father. She knew why this day was so important. For the first time ever, humans were coming to their world. Not as enemies, not as prisoners, but as friends, as guests. The great doors opened with a deep sound like thunder. 3 figures walked into the hall. They looked so strange compared to the aliens of Zerion. Small bodies, only 2 arms, skin that was not blue or green or purple, but a warm brown color. "Welcome, humans of Earth," Emperor Zorth said, his voice booming through the hall. "I am Emperor Zorth, ruler of the Zerion Empire." The lead human stepped forward. She was a woman with short gray hair and wise eyes. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I am Ambassador Chen. We are honored to be here." Lyra watched with wonder. These creatures seemed so different, yet when Ambassador Chen smiled, it looked just like the smiles she had seen on Zerion faces. Maybe they were not so different after all. "We have brought gifts," Ambassador Chen said, "to celebrate this new friendship between our worlds." 2 human guards brought forward a beautiful blue box. It looked simple but somehow special. Ambassador Chen opened it carefully. Inside was a clear bottle filled with water that seemed to shine with its own light. "This is special water from our world," the ambassador explained. "We call it healing water. It comes from the deepest, purest springs of Earth. Our people believe it can heal any sickness of the body or spirit." Emperor Zorth's 6 eyes grew wide. Around the hall, aliens whispered in excitement. "Healing water? Could such a thing be real?" "You are too generous," the Emperor said. His voice shook a little. Lyra knew why. Everyone knew why. The Emperor had spent 20 years searching for something, anything that could heal his daughter's silence. "Please keep this gift safe," Ambassador Chen said. "Use it when the need is greatest." As the feast began, Lyra sat quietly in her chair. She watched the humans eat and laugh with her father's people. She saw how they used hand movements to help explain their words. She saw how they listened carefully when others spoke, even when they did not understand everything. For the first time in her life, Lyra saw beings who did not seem to fear her silence. The bottle of healing water sat on a special table near the Emperor's chair. It caught the light and threw tiny rainbows across the walls. Lyra could not stop looking at it. Something about the water called to her, whispered to her in a way she had never felt before. As the night grew later and the feast continued, no one noticed the silent princess slip away from her chair. No one saw her move toward the special table like she was walking in a dream. Her hand reached out toward the bottle. Just one sip, she thought. Just one small taste. What could it hurt? Princess Lyra's fingers touched the cool glass bottle. Her heart beat fast like a drum in her chest. The healing water inside seemed to glow brighter as she lifted it toward her lips. She looked around the great hall. Everyone was busy talking and laughing. Her father was deep in conversation with Ambassador Chen about trade routes between their worlds. The other humans were sharing stories with the alien nobles. No one watched the silent princess in the corner. Lyra pulled out the crystal stopper. The water smelled like nothing she had ever known. It was clean and pure, like morning air after rain. Like hope itself. Just one sip, she told herself again. Just one tiny taste. She lifted the bottle and let a few drops touch her tongue. At first, nothing happened. The water tasted normal, maybe a little sweet. Lyra felt foolish. What had she expected? Magic? Miracles? She was about to put the bottle back when something changed. A warm feeling spread through her body, starting from her throat and moving outward like gentle fire. But it was not her throat that felt different. It was something else. Something deeper. Suddenly the great hall felt louder, not with sounds. Lyra still heard the same voices, the same laughter, the same music. But now she could feel something new flowing through the air. Colors that were not colors. Voices that were not voices. She could feel emotions from everyone all at once. Lyra gasped silently and almost dropped the bottle. The alien noble nearest to her was laughing. But underneath his laughter, she could feel his worry about his sick son at home. A servant girl carrying food felt tired, but proud of her work. The human guard by the door missed his family on distant Earth. It was like suddenly seeing a new color that had always been there, but invisible before. Lyra quickly put the bottle back on its table and moved away. She pressed her back against the cool wall and tried to understand what was happening to her. The feelings of everyone around her washed over her like waves in an ocean. Then she felt her father. Emperor Zorth was smiling and talking with the humans, but inside Lyra could feel his deep sadness. Sadness that was older than the mountains. Sadness that had lived in his heart for 20 long years. He was thinking about her. Her father's thoughts were like a gentle song of pain. My beautiful daughter, my broken little star. If only I could give you my voice. If only I could take your silence into myself. You are perfect in every way except this one cruel thing. Tears ran down Lyra's cheeks. All these years, she had thought her father was ashamed of her. All these years, she had believed he wished she had never been born. But now she could feel the truth. He loved her more than his own life. His heart broke every day because he could not help her. Around the room she felt other emotions too. The servants did not hate her as she had thought. They felt sorry for her. They wished they could help. Even the nobles who never spoke to her did not think she was stupid or worthless. They just did not know how to talk to someone who could not answer back. For the first time in her life, Princess Lyra understood that she was not alone. She was loved. She was wanted. She had just never been able to hear it before. But as wonderful as this new gift was, it also brought danger. Because now Lyra could feel something else in the room. Something dark and angry hiding behind a false smile. Her uncle, Prince Vex, stood near the human delegation. He looked happy and welcoming on the outside. But inside, Lyra felt his hatred burning like black fire. He hated the humans. He hated this peace. He hated everything about tonight. And he was planning something terrible. Lyra felt his thoughts like poisonous smoke. Stupid brother, making friends with these weak creatures. When the humans die tonight, everyone will think it was an accident. Then I will be the one to lead us to war. I will be the one with power. Horror filled Lyra's heart. Uncle Vex was going to kill the humans. Tonight, during the feast. She tried to run to her father, but Prince Vex's next thoughts froze her blood. The poison is already in their dessert wine. In 10 minutes, when the sweet course is served, the humans will drink death, and no one will ever know it was murder. 10 minutes. The silent princess, who had never spoken a word in her life, now held the only knowledge that could save 3 innocent lives. But how could she warn anyone when she had no voice? How could she make them understand when time was running out? Lyra looked at the great clock on the wall. 9 minutes left. She had to try.